Alright, so we're coming at you with a quick one. Today we're going to quickly go over my graphic settings and why I have them set as I do, because I've got a few things that aren't quite normal, and I think you'll find it interesting. So, display settings, I do full screen. Resolution, I do 1920 by 1080. Now, another setting I've kind of been experimenting with is 1720 by 1080. This is basically the stretched resolution of PUBG. I don't know if you can tell, but it definitely is stretched. Here's kind of what the looting menu looks like. A lot of people like this setting because targets do appear wider, which a lot of CSGO players, Fortnite players, and other FPS players alike are kind of accustomed to. They like that stretched resolution. Um, if you're interested in that, that is something that is not normally in PUBG. I had to create this setting, but if you're interested in that, just let me know somehow. Um, although it is kind of an interesting setting to play with, but I normally do play on 1920 by 1080 here. This is just the PUBG default, and I like it. I don't have anything against it. So, lobby FPS cap, this is just unlimited. Now, in-game FPS cap, I do suggest you run a display-based because if you run unlimited, you're basically, okay, so I run a 144 hertz monitor. That's all I need to render for FPS. But if I put it on unlimited, I'm going to be throttling my graphics card to 100% all the time. And I'm going to be getting, yeah, maybe I might be getting 180 FPS or so, but I don't need that because I physically can't see that on my screen since I only have a 144 hertz monitor. So, I just suggest you run display based because there's no point in throttling your graphics card to the max and your CPU as a matter of fact. If you set unlimited. So just run display based. It makes sense. Yeah, just do that. Brightness, I use turn universal brightness off for all maps and set this accordingly to what you like. I like 70 on Erangel, 60 on Miramar, 75 on Sandhawk, and 60 on Vikendi. That's just me. Render scale 100. This is where I'm kind of the oddball here. A lot of people like their FPP FOV at 103. Let me quickly explain why I don't like that. I used to always run 103 FOV, and here's why I don't like it. Look how far that ramp looks on 103 FOV. We're probably, I don't know, 50 meters. We are 50 meters from that ramp right there, okay? Look how far it looks. Now, whoops, now you go and you set 90 FOV, and look how much closer it looks. Also, there's something when you zoom in. Look when you zoom in with a red dot. It looks quite natural when you zoom in. And I never really noticed this because I got so accustomed to playing on 103 FOV. But when you zoom in, you look like on 103 FOV, it looks like your whole screen zooms in a ridiculous amount. Like, just look. Look at the edges of the screen. You can see that post right there, okay? Now when you zoom in, you see that post. Let's just do a quick test here because this is interesting. Let's go back to 90. Yeah, now that post isn't even in view, but I don't feel like you zoom in nearly as far, you know what I mean? Like I feel like your screen, the edges of your screen don't literally collapse, and I don't know, there's just something about the 90 FOV that just feels natural to me. I like it. That's just me. Now let's get into the graphic settings. I run everything very low except for textures. I run ultra. Yes, I have a 1080 graphics card. Yes, I have an i7 processor, but I like to run competitive style settings. That way you get the max frames possible. And honestly, shadows are worthless in this game. Effects are worthless in this game. Foliage you definitely don't want high. And none of the rest is super important. A lot of people like to run high anti-aliasing. I don't care. Just textures is ultra. I just at least want the game to look decent. So, yeah, that's it. Turn sharpen off. VSync you definitely want off, and motion blur is worthless for FPS games. So, um, that's my graphic settings and why I run them. Again, let me know if you want a little tutorial video of how to get this 1728 by 1080. This is kind of an interesting um, resolution to run, and I actually kind of like it. The only problem is it does mess with your like targeting and stuff a little bit. But with targets appearing wider, you do, or at least appearing larger. They're not physically larger, they just appear larger. So it kind of is easier to hit shots. So, catch you in the next one.